Hello and welcome to the Ocean News Podcast, an audio series in which we take a deeper dive into some of the biggest headlines and the breaking news from the Oceanographic newsroom. I'm Rob Hutchins, editor here at Oceanographic Magazine, and this episode is the latest in our exclusive interview series with the winners from this year's Ocean Photographer of the Year. Coming up in this helping, I get chatting to the French underwater photographer and surfer Ben Thouard, winner of this year's Ocean Adventure Photographer of the Year. Ben's photography is widely known for capturing the drama of ocean adventure and is mostly focused on surfers found in their element amongst the crashing waves. His winning photograph this year was captured off the shores of Nazaré in Portugal and celebrated for depicting a strong sense of vulnerability to the backdrop of some massive waves. Ben spends most of his time in Tahiti in French Polynesia, but I managed to catch up with him from his family home in the south of France. But just to kick off, just a bit of a reflection piece on when did you first connect with the ocean?
Yeah, it started very early with me because my dad always had a sailboat and we've always been living on the coast. So I would be sailing with my parents most of the time, most weekends and holidays. So I think that's forever, like since I'm born. So I think that's how I really got into, like, I got passionate about the ocean because obviously you spend a lot of time out at sea on the boat and it teaches you patience and you observe the ocean quite a lot. And then later on, as a kid, maybe when I was 6 or 7, I started surfing with my older brothers. And then obviously it's when my connection with the ocean became much stronger. And I've been raised like in Toulon, in the southeast coast of France. Like I would see the ocean from my classroom. So I would always see the ocean every day, and spending all my holidays on my that sailboat and surfing with my older brothers. So yeah, that's how I became really attached to the ocean. Like I really needed to have the ocean in my life every day. And then later on, as a teenager, I discovered an old camera from my father at home. And for some reason, I got really curious about that object and about the camera. My grandfather was taking a lot of photos, but I've never experienced myself. And then so when I saw that camera, I was like, oh, I got really interested in taking photographs. So I bought a few rolls, and because it was before digital, and so I bought a few rolls and started taking photos of just random things, everything, just learning how the camera worked. And then very soon I took the camera to the beach or on the sailboat and started shooting my friends surfing, or started just taking photos of the ocean, seascape, and coastal photos. And very soon I knew that I wanted to go into that direction of becoming a photographer.
So was your grandfather like a good photographer? Did he take pictures of the ocean as well? Or?
No, it was just passionate about photography, and he's not a photographer like professionally, but he was just passionate about photography. He would always take photos, mostly of the family, and it was a long time ago though. But I would always see him with a camera, and I would always see a camera around, but I've never touched it. But it somehow it got me interested.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let's talk about your photography. What is how would you describe your approach to photography to start with?
I think I was really interested in action sports photography at first. That's what I started shooting. I started shooting windsurfing and surfing, and then I moved to Hawaii to start shooting surfing, and then work brought me to Tahiti. That's how I fell in love with the place and decided to stay there. But I was really attracted by the performance of the athletes and the action, and nailing that moment of the performance. That what drove me for a long time. Like maybe the first 10 years of my career. It's been like 20 years I started already. And so the first 10 years was all about surfing and traveling and performance and extreme sports. it was really exciting and I really loved it. But after a while, I something was missing in me, and I did a lot of painting too when I was young.
All right.
Um, and so I was painting waves and oceans and stuff like that. And the fact
Mm,
of painting and putting it on the wall was something I really appreciate as well.
yeah.
And I was missing that in photography, because I was shooting so much sports for magazines and sponsors and stuff like that, that like these days we're not printing photos anymore. Like
Mhm.
it's all digital and email and website, and I
Mm,
was missing printing, and I was missing the artistic approach to
mm,
photography.
mm,
So that's when I decided to work more and more on my personal project of just shooting waves and oceans and water and anything, but just for the aesthetic part of the ocean more than the performance part.
mm,
Yeah, that's why I started just shooting randomly. I started shooting waves and what really attracted me from the ocean,
yeah.
just the beauty of it. And I didn't do much with these photos at first until I decided to, oh, maybe I'll start running like an online store to start selling prints, because when I started photography, it was the very beginning of digital. I even started before digital. So as I grew up as a photographer, as a professional photographer, more and more tools became available, such as website and social media. And
Mm,
like I
mm,
grew up as a professional photographer with these tools.
mm,
So all of a sudden, it was possible for a solo photographer like me to open an online gallery and start selling your prints, and then promote yourself on social media. So I started doing this, um, just without any thoughts,
yeah.
just like, oh, I have these photos and I really like it. I find it beautiful. Why not trying? So I started selling
Yeah.
these prints. And then after, like, I started selling a few prints, it worked. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'd love to work on a book with these photos. It became like, it always been a dream. I think for a lot of photographers to do your own book is kind of a dream. So I had this dream, and I was like, oh, maybe I can start working on it. That's when I really took a turn in my career, and I really started to spend a lot of time and energy shooting my own things, and
Mhm.
not only just surfing for magazines and brands. And so I started going out in the ocean or traveling just for my own photos. And I released this first book in 2018, Surface, and that it's been like a big revelation for me. Like the process of shooting the whole project, the process of selecting the photos, designing the book,
Mm.
printing the book, promoting it, doing like I got into an art gallery who started to represent my work in Paris. So I did a show in Paris, and I discovered this whole new world of photography, because
Yeah.
for me, photography was sports,
Yeah.
magazine, and
Yeah.
brands. And
Yeah.
so I was shooting surfing for magazine and companies.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was shooting for myself,
Mm.
proposing my work for anybody who liked the ocean and surfing, and it was doing books and doing prints,
Yeah.
and that's when I really found my thing in
Yeah.
photography. I really found my path.
Yeah. That's really interesting, man. That's really inspiring as well. And actually, as you were talking, I had about 1,000 questions coming up that I want to ask you. And I guess that all of that experience in sport photography, and so that you're there having to capture a moment, and then you made the switch to something more emotive, and you have to what you're capturing now is more of a feeling. Would that be a sort of
Sure,
correct sort of way to say that? And then, but
absolutely.
I guess that the skills that you learned from, as you were saying, having to get the branding and the wetsuit and all that in one single frame, that's the story you've got to tell. But then you take those skills now, and here you are underwater photography, or you're winning photography, you're winning photograph, where you're capturing that moment. You know what you want to capture, you've got your little jet ski over here, and then you've got the layers of the waves. I guess you're utilizing all those skills to be able to tell that story in one shot.
Yeah, shooting, surfing, or water sports in general, when I started photography, taught me all these tools and all the tricks in photography,
Mm.
um, which is like observing the light and how you use your different setup to photograph both the action. Do you want to freeze it? Do you want to make it live through your photograph and do like a speed blur effect? Or how do you want to treat the light in your photograph? All these photographic skills, I learned them when shooting surfing. That's true,
Yeah.
definitely, and traveling and now that I learned all these techniques and
Yeah.
tricks in photography, I can use them as I want to really capture the emotion of what I like in the ocean. And
Yeah.
and that's what happened with this photograph, the winning photograph, because I was in Nazaré, which is very famous for big wave surfing, and so that day was quite big, probably 50-meter waves.
Mm.
And Justine and Eric were surfing and training, and I was shooting up from up the cliff in Nazaré. There's like a big cliff, and you can see the wave from up there, which is amazing because you have a very beautiful point of view on the wave. And but the ocean was very bumpy because of the wind. It was not very aesthetic. It was not like good looking because of
Mm.
the wind. And but the light was amazing. The light from the sun setting behind was amazing. So that's when I decided to go on the beach, to go down on the beach because I would be facing the light more. And which is not an ideal point to shoot the spot because you're very low on like close to water, and so you can't see the horizon. You can't really see surfing because it's, as you can see on the photograph, there's a lot of spray
Yeah.
from the wind and from the waves, and so it makes it very hard to shoot. But in the same time, because of facing the light and having this big wind putting the salt water in the air, it creates that beautiful atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to stay there. And then I was just lucky enough for Justine and Eric to show up on their jet ski at that time, and that create that photograph.
Yeah. And it's such a cool picture. It's honestly, it is one of my favorites. And I think on the night, yeah, congrats. And I think on the night, Laurent sort of summarized, or he sort of spoke about what emotions he got from it. And obviously one of the words he was talking about was vulnerability, and that jet ski in that moment looked so vulnerable on those huge waves crashing around it. What story are you telling in that photograph?
This photograph to me is showing how like adventurous surfing can be because
Mm.
it shows how chaotic surfing Nazaré can be because of
Yeah.
all these layers of white water
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
see on the photograph. And having those two people on the jet ski navigating through that chaos is
Yeah.
is showing like how much skills you need to have just to be surfing these waves and how, yeah, adventurous it can be.
Yeah.
But it's also the beauty of the ocean of having those layers of white water, having this salty salt in the air, the wind like pushing all the salt in the air. Is like everything together is a mix of beauty and adventure into that photo. And like I said the other night with Laurent, is I had some very similar photograph without the jet ski because obviously I spent like an hour or two down on the beach shooting facing the
Mm.
sun. So and I would see those layers of white water and I
Mm.
would be shooting facing the sun, so having that backlight. So
Mm.
I had the very similar photo with a beautiful atmosphere like that, but something was missing because the shape of the waves, something it was not quite yet here.
Mm.
And then these guys showed up, and that's how I could create this composition. And I think having the jet ski in the photo, even though, like I said the other night, even though a jet ski is not very sexy at first, but having them in the photo showing also a scale of how big the white water is and how like the distances and yeah, it gives both like a scale and a sense of energy and adventure.
Yeah, no, it totally does that. It really captures that. I wonder what impact you want your photography to have for people, for audiences who look at your book, and they what message would you like them to come away from looking at your observing your photography?
To me, it's really about emotions and beauty. This is what I feel when I'm out there, either swimming or like on the beach like that in Nazareth. Is that's what drives me to take photograph is just how amazing a place can be and how the light can light up a few things in a spot. So that's what drives me when I create these books, and that's what I want to show. I just want to show the like the beauty of it, and because when I'm underwater at Chopo, for example, swimming, and I see the surfer passing by and the light coming through the barrel, and you see even like all the photographers shooting, it's like it's so amazing, like how clear the water is and the little fish on the reef, and like everything is just out of this world, how beautiful it is. And yeah, I'm just trying to capture the best as I can and to show it to people. And
Yeah, for sure. And I think obviously you've got four published books now. What you're saying,
yeah,
three your own, and then one with Nat Geo. Um,
exactly.
what is the sort of the power of a printed, a published book of photography versus scrolling through and seeing it on Instagram and whatnot? And yeah, what's the difference there, do you think, in terms of the way they convey the stories?
Yeah, very good question, actually. I really like, I mean, social media and it's a very good tool to show your work out there and put your work out there and yeah, show what you can do. But showing a book is more like showing a body of work more than just a single photograph or
Mm,
even like a carousel of 10 photos.
mm,
It's for me, it's years of work, and it's also you don't just put 4 years of work into a book. You have like a main direction line that that you build using different photos, and it's not necessarily your best photo from 4 years. It's also a selection of photos that creates and builds like for example, if you see my last book, and like all I think the three books that I've made are all about water, but very different from each other.
mm,
And the last one is all about textures and light and really like, and I think creating a book forces you to work around that direction that you want to take. And also it like for example, for this last book, I work, as I said, on the texture and the reflections and all that, but I
mm,
also decided to create a blue and white style of photography, which
mm,
is not a black and white,
mm.
and it's not color. And
Yeah.
so I've ordered custom blue inks,
Oh, right.
and I've only used blue inks to print a book. So it's not a common printing technique like CMYK usually
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for printing. I've only used blue inks.
Oh, wow.
So I've ordered custom blue inks to create the whole book, and because I've done Surface and Turbulences, which are my first two books,
Yeah.
and then after creating the second book, I was like, okay, I really want to do, because Turbulences was already a blue and white in terms of like because I've put aside all the photos that were maybe shot at sunset or sunrise that have more warmer tones. So
Yeah.
I put them aside to work only with white and blue. But and after that, I wanted to create a black and white book. So I've worked for 2 years on the black and white because I thought that the black and white allows you to work so much stronger on the textures and the water and the reflections and not just the beauty of the place, but really like the textures. And so because of the black and white, you don't have the colors anymore. So you don't have the distraction from the color. You only focus on the light.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I worked for 2 years on a black and white book. And after 2 years, I was like, something's missing.
Mm,
It's almost sad compared to where I work, because where I work in the Pacific Ocean, I mean, it's mostly Pacific. There's Tahiti, Hawaii, and Nazaré in Portugal.
mm.
But it's mostly in the Pacific, and it's so blue and crystal clear and beautiful that making a black and white book was making me sad almost to miss this beautiful blue. And that's when I decided to create a blue and white book instead of a black and white book.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Do you know what? I need to get your books. I need to have a.
Yeah, it just got released. I should have brought some in London, but I still didn't have them.
No, well, this is an excuse for me to head over to they're on sale in Paris somewhere, right? So I'll find.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All in line too. Like we ship worldwide. Yeah.
yeah, okay, I'll do that. Although I do want a trip to France, so I might come over and buy them.
Oh, perfect. There are some signed ones at the gallery.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'll go for
Yeah.
those. What was I going to ask you? Okay, yeah. So, in terms of the power of photography, are you hopeful that photography as a medium can encourage people to engage with the ocean, to start protecting it in that way?
Absolutely, yes. Because I think if like protecting the ocean starts by loving it, and loving it starts when you know it, and so photography is a great way to, not the only one, but a great way to educate, inform, and show people the beauty of it. And so photography, yeah, is a good medium to make people fall in love with the ocean. And if they fall in love with the ocean, eventually they will be sensitive about it and they want to protect it. So it's not for everyone to know the ocean. So because if you don't live by the coast, or
Yeah,
if you don't have somebody from your family or your friends, maybe you don't know anything about the ocean, but through photography, books, magazines, article, then you can learn about it and feel emotions. I don't consider myself as a environmental guy, or like I'm just a photographer, and I'm just doing it for the love of the ocean and the
yeah,
beauty of it. But I think eventually photography can create that education, and
yeah.
then that love for the ocean, and the desire to protect it.
We got to talk about the OPY win. So congratulations. What did that mean to you?
Well, it's like, again, it's so amazing because for many aspects of it, of course, winning a contest is always like joyful. It's a big reward. For me, also winning with a photo from my personal work, from my very last book that just got released, was amazing, because obviously you spend so much time and energy working on it, that having one of the photograph winning a category is amazing. Um, this photo to me was really about the adventure and the energy of surfing and the power of the ocean. So winning the adventure category
Yeah,
has a strong meaning to it.
yeah,
And yeah, it allows you to show your work to a wider audience too, because I have my audience from the surfing community, from
yeah.
maybe the art community with my gallery, but this allows you to show your work to even a wider audience, and to people that are passionate about the ocean too. And so that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Yeah, and it's such a cool photo. I really love it. I don't think we've
Thanks.
actually spoken about your gallery opening exhibition. Let's talk about what you're doing now and then where you go from here.
Yeah, so I have this solo show in Paris happening now.
Yeah.
It's a gallery that I've been working with the last 5 years. And for this show, we decided to use all the blue and white photos to
Mm,
create like an atmosphere of ocean, and obviously very aesthetic and very high-end printing and framing, and using only museum grade glass, no reflections. Yeah, so it's the selection of the artwork was more about the power of the ocean more than the reflection and the textures, like my bubbles and stuff that are in my book.
Yeah.
We'll use that probably in a future exhibitions. But yeah, it's a big part of my work now is to do shows like that and sell prints to people. So it's a very important part of the job for me now, and it's something that I really do appreciate because, like I said, when I was young, I was doing a lot of painting, and so I was
Yeah.
painting and then putting them on the wall, and it's always
Brilliant.
been a great feeling and a great reward to do that, even as a personal experience. But now to be able to do it as a professional and make a living out of it is so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm very jealous. And then what's next for you? What's now you've got this one?
A good question. Yeah, I kind of feel like the three books are making like a whole series, like a triptych maybe of books. Surface, Turbulences, and Aqua Obscura is the name of the last one. Um, So I guess I'll have to find a new way to. I really want to keep shooting for books and exhibition because
Yeah.
that's really what I like the most. But I guess I'll have to reinvent myself again and find a new subject and that's also why I love photography because
Mm.
like I don't really enjoy shooting things twice or
Yeah.
over and over again. That's why I kind of got bored with surfing photography because
Yeah.
is or at least because I was shooting a lot of surfing in Tahiti and not traveling anymore too much because of budget and stuff like that.
Mm.
So yeah, when you shoot something new, it's great, but if you're shooting again and again and again,
Yeah.
I kind of get bored quite easily, but
Yeah.
which is annoying sometimes, but is also a great strength because it gives you the you're curious enough
Mm.
to shoot something else and to like dig even deeper to create new photographs or new something.
What keeps you what sort of re-energizes you creatively then? So obviously you're inspired by the ocean, that's your subject matter, but what are there other photographers? Are there artists? Are there any influences that inspire you and give you that creative, urge in whatever direction?
Yeah, I think definitely other photographers. I really look up to other photographers in general. I have a few, but a lot of like seeing someone else's work is always very inspiring to me, and I really like. I buy a lot of books myself for since like forever. I've always bought a lot of photo books. I have a good collection at home, and not only about the ocean, a lot about the ocean, but not only. And I really like and enjoy being inspired by someone else's work. I think it gives you, it recharges your power of
Yeah,
creating.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's very important. I think it's curiosity, always like going deeper or searching even more or pushing the boundaries of photography using different lenses, different techniques, different approach. That's at least how I got to create these three books is by being very curious and pushing always the limits or like the curiosity of creating something different.
yeah. I like that. Are there any names, any particular artists that you might want to mention that inspire you?
There are a lot actually. There are a lot, and there are not only a few ones, but I've been really amazed by. It's an old photographer that is now not in this world anymore.
Mm.
His name is Ernst Haas. He's more like a 50, 60 photographer.
Yeah.
Um, from the 50s and 60s, and he's been like working a lot of black and white first and then colors, and to me he's been working a lot with slow shutters too,
Right.
and he's been um transmitting a lot of movement into his work. Not
Yeah.
not all his work. There's a part of his work that is about colors and cities, which is quite amazing. But
Yeah.
he's also been shooting sailing and
Mm.
horses
Yeah.
using slow shutters
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
back in the days in the 60s, and
Wow.
his work is phenomenal. I mean, I've been really amazed by how he could transmit these emotion of speed and movement and energy, and today it's quite easier because of digital, and but back in the day, creating all that was like wow.
Yeah.
I'm very respectful to that, and so I've been looking to his work quite a lot, but a lot of like even much younger photographer and my colleagues, and like it's not only about these guy or all the old guys. It's pretty much on my everyday life. I always look to someone else's work on social media. I buy a lot of books, and yeah.
I was going to ask, so two questions. Firstly, is it harder or easier today to do something new, to find something or a new edge to something? And then the other question is, what really captures your attention when you see something you're like, wow, that's cool. Is it a technicality or is it sort of visually something, whatever?
So about today, I think it's both. I feel like I got a lot of questions from younger photographers who reached out to me on social media and say,
Mm,
how did you start? What should I do? Like who asked for advice? And it's a bit hard for me to respond because it was very different when I started.
mm,
When I started was like the very, very beginning of digital. So I was still shooting films when I started as a professional, as a young professional. But it was still a strong magazine industry
mm,
in surfing and windsurfing. So I would go out and shoot my photo and then present my 10 best photo to magazines. And then I would get one cover or one spread or one single page. And then you would get paid for that. And then when you get a lot of covers, eventually a brand sees your work and wants to work with you. And that's how you would get jobs from companies. And this doesn't happen anymore. So I find it harder to start as a professional because that's what I feel like. At least because I don't know what to respond to these young photographers who ask for advice. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know what to say. Shoot your own stuff and try to be unique and then put your work out there on social media, I guess. I guess this is the way to do it. There are a lot of new tools to put your work out there, to reach out to companies, to athletes, to artists. And so I feel like it's easier because you can more easily show your work
mm.
because you have all these tools, but it's also harder because there's so many people now. It's so hard to get your work to be seen and to be different to from everybody else. And also there's no like before you used to have art galleries, magazine with
Mm,
photo editor, art director who
mm,
would curate
mm.
photographers and works, photo editor who would select photos. And now this kind of job kind of disappeared. Like there are not really art curator and photo editor or art director that select the work for you to see.
Yeah.
It's like it's for everyone now to make their own judgment. And because you when you
Yeah.
go online, you see everything.
Yeah.
Before the photo editor would receive the work from everyone,
Yeah. Yeah.
make a selection of the best and would run it in their magazine. And for the reader, they would only have access to already a selection of the best for you to see. Whereas now it's everything online.
Yeah.
It's like it's for everyone to judge and make their own judgment about.
Yeah, it must be an exciting position to be in, though, that the world is literally there to be explored in this whole new way. what is it that jumps out at you then as a piece of art that grabs your attention, or a photograph or a piece of art that really grabbed you?
I think it's really about emotion to me. Like when
Mm,
because I do look at a lot of work from everyone else, like photography, obviously, but not only. I'm more into photography than painting or anything else, but
yeah,
it's really that first look and that first emotion that grabs you, like, and that's so amazing. I'm really like seeking those kind of emotions. I'm really looking at a lot of photography to experience that. And I think it's so amazing when you find someone who creates something different and that catches your eye, and not only your eye, but really like your emotion, your gut.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and to me, that's how I respond to photography, is like what I feel at the very first second when I see a photograph. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's amazing. Like, because whatever technique he's been using or whatever he photographed, either it's exceptional or just the way it is captured. Sometimes very simple things, but there's, I don't know. That's what is magic with photography to me, is
yeah, yeah,
it doesn't have to be the most amazing moment in history of life.
yeah.
Sometimes very simple things are amazing.
I completely agree, and I think that's a really good way to summarize it. And in the fact that all it takes is just opening your eyes to what's outside, and maybe just looking at something from a different angle, from a different perspective, and finding that story in the most mundane, or something that's ordinary, and actually it can be extraordinary. And the same goes for the ocean, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know if there's a question there, but any thoughts on that? You're more than welcome to share.
Yeah, no, it's again like I've done a photograph a couple of years ago that actually is part of my first book, Surface, and it's a very simple photograph, but I was selling only open edition prints back then, and
Mm,
so it's not part of my collection anymore because I only sell limited editions.
mm,
So I had to delete it from my website. But it's a very simple photo. It's a underwater photo. So my camera is just below the surface. You don't see above. You only see the surface on the top part of the frame, and then all the light rays coming down in the ocean that goes into the deep blue.
yeah,
So it was a very, very simple photograph, like one of the most simple one to do. Put the camera down there, but the moment how the lights go through the ocean
mm,
and what it feels like seeing that for people who love the ocean, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, yeah, I remember these moments spent out in the ocean. It's like it's what you see, it's how you feel when you're in the ocean, being amazed by the water. So that's a good example of a very simple thing, a very simple photograph, but that makes people feel the emotion and remember those moments of being out there swimming and being amazed by the beauty. And so that was one of my best selling images as a print, and maybe not the best one, but a very strong selling images. And it was a very simple photograph. So.
and I think that would be a really nice sentiment to end on. But I've got one more question because what you were just saying about the process of how you select then a picture to either be published in a book or something that you put forward. So your OPY photograph, for instance, what was the process? What was your thought process like choosing that image? Was it hard? Is it hard to sort of go through all your work and whittle it down to select one or two?
So for OPY, it was pretty obvious because I was just in the process the last 6 to 12 months of
Right,
selecting my whole book and my
right.
whole body of work. So when it came to the contest, it was much easier for me because I have already done the whole process of selecting. To answer the question about the book,
Yeah.
so then it's a lot harder, I guess. And I work with a friend of mine. I hire an art director to work with me about it because I feel, and that is not about the ocean. He's a photographer as well, but he
Yeah.
works more in the mountain scenery.
Oh, right.
Um, and I need to have someone else to talk to, and just to make sure and ask him, like, what do you feel when you see this photograph? Because sometimes it's very hard to detach yourself from your work sometimes, because sometimes you worked weeks or months to shoot some of the photographs
Mm.
that are in the book, and you feel like they're strong because you work so much on it. But if the emotion doesn't really go through, then it doesn't really work. And so I need to work with someone else to see how they would react to some of the photograph, and just to make sure the emotion is going through the photograph. And if it's not, then it probably needs to be deleted or
Yeah.
uh, yeah, put away from the book. It's a very important process, selection. Shooting
Mm.
is something, definitely, but selecting and showing the right photos together, it's also part of the art to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like the editing process when if you're, writing something, it's got to be quite a tough part because you've got to be so self-critical and open to the criticisms and outside sort of thoughts and feelings as well. And you're like, sometimes I'm just like, nope, nope, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah, which can happen sometimes, and it's important for the photographer or the artist to force it sometimes, to say, no, like, this is what I want to show, this is what I feel, this is what I want to people to see. And yeah, fair enough. Sometimes it has to be this way, but yeah, it's good to have feedback, and to make sure people are actually feeling the same way. And that's what I encourage too to those young photographers who reach out to me. I tell them, like, quite a lot, like, put a portfolio of 10 to 50 images and send it to a photo editor or another photographer that you look up to, or and ask for feedback. It's a
Yeah.
great way to analyze your work and to understand what other people see in your work. And it's I think it's very important, actually, asking for feedback from photo editor. Participating into photo contests is, to me, the best way of evolving and becoming a greater photographer.
So that was Ben Thouard, underwater photographer and winner of this year's Ocean Adventure Photographer of the Year. Check out both his own website and make sure to check out the OPY platform for a closer look at his incredible photography. That's everything from us in this episode. This has been the Ocean News Podcast. I've been Rob Hutchins. Thank you for listening.